You can just title it. Any prees?
Yeah, we live. I can always change the title.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's all good. Hey, Shalom, Malcolm, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, as always, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash.
We want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and that's still teaching this truth. And much peace, love, and salutation to the elect of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, preaching the word of our truth and sincerity. Shalom. Great Millstone Dallas here, back again with another lesson this weekend. And what we want to do is just go more so into a mindset of how one thing that the Apostle Paul said, he said, I became all things to all men, which is a very, very good quality and a good, wise mindset to have based upon how we deal with people in the world, you know, how we deal amongst one another, so that at the end of the day, Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah can be pushed without offense. You know, of course, ultimately at the end of the day, you know, if somebody's coming up and they're a complete demon, you know what I'm saying? You know, we deal in measure. You know, we understand and know that there's a time and a place for everything, and, you know, a time to speak and a time to refrain from speaking, and pretty much learning how to read spirits. You know, so as we're coming in, growing and getting older, you know, there's just particular things that we can hone in more and key more into, you know, to be better ministers and servants. So it's actually, can a brother pull, what's that, 1 John 4:1, where it says, try the spirits, by the spirits, or that James? John, 1 John, okay, yeah, somebody can pull that real quick. We start off with that.
I'll give you 1 John 4:1. It says, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are going out into the world.
Right, so we have to try the spirits, whether they be of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And we're not to just believe anybody that comes up and just starts talking. You know, the way that we try spirits is through the scriptures. You know, somebody walks up, you know, and they say, you know, that they're Israelite or whatever, and they're a teacher, you know, whatever the case may be. Well, you know, we go to the scriptures to see if the doctrine lines up with truth and sincerity. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to be getting together with somebody that believes in hell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And believing that there's a place where you burn forever in hell, or, you know, a spirit that's made out of fire goes to a place where you burn forever. That doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Or the MOTB is an embargo, it's sin, or whatever the case may be. If it doesn't line up to prophecy and what the scriptures say, no, that's what goes into trying, man. You gotta prove who comes up. That's how you try the spirits.
Oh, can I get a precept? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:21. It says, prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's simple and plain. Like if we see somebody that, you know, is asking a question, or even before they even ask a question, they may make a proclamation and say, I believe in this. You already know how to deal with that person, you know? Of course you still teach, but you just use discernment based off of what the person said. They say they're a Christian, then we already know the doctrine that they adhere to. They believe that, you know, Jesus, most likely they believe that, you know, the Messiah is, you know, his name is Jesus, and they believe in, you know, the image of Caesar Borgia. So we have to look and see. Actually, can I get that word proof? Yeah. That word proof is Strong's G1381, Dokimazo. It says to test, to examine. So when you're examining an individual, you scanning them, you know, they're under the scope. It says to scrutinize, to see whether a thing is genuine or not, such as a metal. So you're looking to see, okay, is this person sincere? And if not, then we move accordingly.
So you gotta, you know, with particular people, you gotta drop down to particular levels with particular individuals. You know, you gotta know how deep in the waters you can go with somebody. You know, because somebody coming up, walking up, that may not necessarily, you know, that could be inquiring and they have faith and believe, but they're newly converted. You don't want to go too deep with somebody because you know it could be too much. So it's just learning how to go to particular levels with particular brothers and knowing how to gauge that. You know what I'm saying? And that really just takes this discernment. It takes experience. You know what I'm saying? It really just takes the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah dealing with you on that level to know how deep you can go with somebody. You know, anybody else have any precept? Okay, we can jump to 1 Corinthians 9. So we can start at verse 19.
I got it right here. 1 Corinthians 9:19, it says, "For though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more."
Right. So the Apostle Paul, he was free in a sense, whereas he was a Roman citizen. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time you had individuals who were actually servants in people's households. So you would learn particular customs or particular ways of these servant as your master. But he was actually free. But it said, "But I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more." You see, because when we teach this truth, we do these lessons, we go out there on the highways and byways. Really, this is the greatest form of servitude that anybody can do, especially with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that the Lord has blessed us with. This is the greatest form of servitude that we can exude. It's liberty. It's free. It's freely given. As a matter of fact, can somebody get Galatians 5:13 real quick?
Galatians 5:13. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another.
Right. So with the liberty that we have in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, all right, not being bound by that first covenant. It says we've been called as liberty. Liberty, only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, because even with the liberty in Yahushai, sometimes it can get to people's minds, whereas it causes them to be puffed up in the head. It causes them to act fleshly in a sense, whereas now this truth is more so geared towards their personal well-being. And Yahushai is pretty much pushed out of the way because now they're trying to fulfill their own lusts or fill their own belly. But it says, "But by love serve one another." You see, because Yahushai exuded the greatest form of brotherhood and servitude that any man can do. The example of washing his disciples' feet. When you go into the custom of washing feet, like that's the lowest form. That's pretty much the basest form of servitude that anybody can have in a master's household is being a foot washer. And Yahushua showed that as an example. He actually said that in John 15. He said, "Let this be an example unto you of how you need to treat one another." You see?
I got a precept.
Come.
This is 1 Peter 2:16. As free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of the Most High.
Yep. It said not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness. Like the elders say, this grace period is not a time to be playing around and we under grace now. That's how Christians, these modern day Christians think about it. We under grace, and they just using this time just to complete. Pretty much, they're worse.
Raging freaks.
They're just being just complete demons on the planet Earth. But even those of us that understand and know that we're Israelites, that's woken up to the truth. We can't use this grace period as a time just to be lackadaisical, to be mediocre. No, like this scripture says, we got to redeem the time because the days are evil. So with this grace period, the greatest form of servitude is serving one another.
Right, walking in the Spirit is how you fulfill the law under grace. Is walking in the Spirit, not fulfilling the lust of the flesh. Basically, being on point in any situation you're in fulfills the law. All right, and it's all fulfilled in love. But what you're going into goes into all of that.
God, charity. Like the Apostle Paul said, he said, man can speak many great mysteries, and he's like, if he don't got charity, he don't got all that's vain at the end of the day. We come into a time where, we gonna really have to lean on one another, man, as a brotherhood. We seeing all the stuff going on, banks collapsing, you know what I'm saying? Hey, it's gonna get to that level.
He's gonna take it there.
Yeah, you can clearly see it happen. He's taking it there. So Yahushua said, he said, the world is gonna know that you are my disciples by how we treat one another. So hey, that time is coming where the Lord gonna say, look, where's the faith that on the earth? And he's gonna see it through his men, how we treat one another though, mainly.
Everybody's gonna have the opportunity to give and receive.
Yep. That's right. We can jump back to 1 Corinthians 9 and continue with that.
All right. Continuing back on 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 19. Again, it says, "For though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more."
Mhm.
Verse 20. "Unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews.
Right.
To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law."
Right. So the Apostle Paul, like, look, so when he was in a scenario when he was around the Jews, or he was around those who were under the law, which is the the Jews, the circumcision, he became as one of them. He would go to that level and become as one of them to ultimately gain them to Yahweh Shai. So he, if you buy a Gentile, a new convert that doesn't know that they're Israelite, but they hear the word, they may possibly they believe, you're not going to go deep into the weightier matters of the law
with them, right?
with them. It's not going to be to no gain at that point. So you got to know the levels of how you deal with individuals based upon where they're at, right? And that goes into discerning spirits. You gotta read spirits and see where they at and know how deep you need to go.
That's attributes of a master teacher, to educate, to draw out. You got to draw out based on where they are, to be able to give them the aptitude that they need based on the level where they are.
Right. As a matter of fact, let's grab Acts 16. We can actually start at the top on that and read down to maybe like verse 3. Maybe.
I got it. Okay. So start at 3.
You start at verse 1 and read down to verse 3.
Oh, okay. Acts 16:1. Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed, but his father was a Greek.
Right, now this is whenever Timothy is brought into the equation. So it says that his mother was a Jewess, which believed, right? But his father was a Greek. Now when you get that word Greek in the Greek, that word there is Helen. All right, and that word Helen means pretty much an Israelite in the sense that followed the customs, the ways, the language of the Greek way. Mm-hmm. So his father pretty much he followed after the Greek custom. It's different than what you see in Acts 6 when it says a Hellenistas, which is a Grecian, which is an Israelite that lived outside of the land that just spoke Greek or spoke that native language of where they was at.
Right.
But his father here was an Israelite, but he just followed after the customs of the Greeks.
These are descendants of what we read about in First Maccabees.
Exactly.
Because remember, there were some who stood and didn't follow, who didn't get Hellenized. Some even died for that, but the Maccabees, they stood firmly. And you had from that, going down the line at the time of Yahweh Shah, you had those different sects of Israelites who knew they were Israelites, they were Jews. But then you had also the descendants of those who did fall to Hellenism, and they had children, and they all raised their children as complete Gentiles. Mm-hmm. All right. So Timothy's father is one of those.
Yep.
Basically. Mm-hmm. And Paul was a descendant of one of those who stood stiffly.
Yeah.
The Pharisees, they all go back. That Hasmonean dynasty all goes back to the Maccabees at the end of the day, and them standing firmly.
Yep. Absolutely. You got to know the history.
Yeah.
Scribes, like you said, scribes and the Pharisees is pretty much the descendants of that line that stood stiffly.
That's it.
It was like, we're not doing that, and it's not like what they did was like the Pharisees was wrong, but the thing is that after time they went too far. They started making it about the outward appearance, and then they started adding oral laws on top of the law. You know what I'm saying? The traditions.
They would take an alphabet and make a law based on the alphabet of the Hebrew character within the law, whatever.
Yeah, that's like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? And like when you read in Acts 15, Jerusalem kind of like, how you gonna put these burdens upon these newly converts coming in? We couldn't even keep it. Yeah. So that's like another example too. But yeah, you can continue, Ariella.
Verse 2. Which was well reported of by the brethren that were at Lystra and Iconium.
Right, so Timothy had a good report amongst his brethren. You know, even though his father was in the Greek customs, his mother believed. So Timothy, you know, he was a Gentile, but he believed. You know, you got it.
Him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised him because of the Jews which were in those quarters.
Boom. That's an example where it says, "Unto the Jew I became as a Jew." So when he took Timothy with him, now at this time, you know, the circumcision. When you read the scriptures, it says what? Whether it be a circumcision or uncircumcision, don't avail. Now, did the Apostle Paul have to do this? Was it a requirement? Not technically, according to the New Covenant, no, it wasn't. But specifically, it says, "And him would Paul have to go forth with him, and took and circumcised them because of the Jews which are in those quarters." Mm-hmm. So if you got Timothy preaching with him, and he's uncircumcised, and he's trying to gain the Jews, you know what I'm saying? It could look weird. It could look off. You know what I mean?
Defeat his argument or his whole.
They can use that. How you gonna try to preach? Right. You know what I'm saying? But you got this dude over here, he's uncircumcised. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, he brought some Jake in the temple, and at some point in his walk, you know, like they were planning to kill him. Like,
yeah, it was that deep.
It was bad.
The Jews were like, "We gotta get this evil. This nigga that lost his mind."
That was like a violation for real.
Yeah, man. So if he was a circumcised preacher, it would have hampered the process in a sense. So like, you know, so as a Jew, unto the Jews he became as a Jew. Like the account where he did the Nazarite vow and he went to the temple, you know, he shaved his head, you know, like he didn't have to necessarily do that. But ultimately he did that to gain them to you, to gain those who were of the elect to Yahweh Shai at the end of the day. Right. You know, you got it, Ariel.
For they knew all that his father was a Greek.
Boom, there it is. So they all knew about Timothy's father. You know, and that lets you know Timothy's father's his notoriety. You know what I'm saying? They all knew that his father was a Greek. You know, so with him getting circumcised, well, oh snap, okay. And he's preaching Yahweh Shah, he got him circumcised. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's using righteous God in a sense. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a case by case situation. You got to be able to adapt to all of them, like being out on the highways and byways. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we said, Amos. We're talking about a lion. You get away from a lion, and there goes a snake. You get away from a snake, there goes something else. Mm-hmm. It's like that on the highways and byways. You know what I'm saying? You might have a night. You might have a night to where you'll have somebody listen, 2 or 3 people that will oppose. A time where it might be a mud or where you get to talk to the camera. Mm-hmm. You adjust to all those different things based on, you know what I'm saying? That's why you got a brother watching the comment board. All these different things that you got to be able to adapt to, because the truth don't adjust to anything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter who the audience is or how it's presented, the truth is the truth. You know? So, like you're saying, whoever you're talking to, you got to be able to make it plain. Right. You know?
It's like when somebody has some sort of letters of schooling, you bring out examples or metaphors concerning the classroom. But Jake from the hood, you gonna speak a different type of way, that way they can get it. You're not gonna speak over his head and use $50 words and you South Dallas. You gonna make it make sense in his thought process.
The truth can adapt to any situation, and that's what I'm saying. With us being taught through the Spirit that our words be seasoned with salt, you know what I'm saying? Having a mouth that no man can gainsay, all those different things come from the scriptures. Starting with the way we talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? The way we talk to each other. We don't talk to the world the way we talk to each other. No. You know what I'm saying? But even within the camp, you know what I'm saying? You talk to certain brothers a certain type of way that you don't talk to this group of brothers over here. Right. But you understand how to talk to each individual person. No understanding your flock. All those things tie into what this brother is bringing out.
Excellent point.
They got a term in sports called KYP. And what KYP is, like when you're speaking to quarterbacks or point guards, it's called know your personnel. So there's certain people on your team that they have particular attributes that okay, this is how I get him to move. Like I had a big man from New York. I had to speak to him rough to get him to do the things I needed him to do. And I had a guy from Iowa that I had to speak. It's a total different conversation. I have to speak to him a certain kind of way to get him to move. And if you're like Cap, he knows how to deal with each of the men within the camp. He knows he has to approach some certain men this way and another way. You have to be able to read the defense. Like you can't use the same spoon. So that's an attribute as you grow in the spirit that you kind of gain.
Right.
And for us to be men of the Lord and to stand stiffly for the gospel and to be, utensils that are beneficial to the mission, this is the attribute that you must have, especially in the times that's coming.
Like, I know the scripture, I forgot where it's at. I think it's in Peter somewhere. We're talking about the forward and the meek. You know what I'm saying? Having, you have those particular spirits, which are all part of the same body, but they're necessary. I know, like Cap says that all the time. Like I know Elder Ariala, like you say, like the way he comes, like very directly, it's necessary. But you gotta, it's the Lord. The way the Lord sets it up, like with dynamics, with particular brothers, is very, very beautiful when you just analyze it from just as an outsider just looking. It's like how the Lord has it. This brother may have the spirit to be able to communicate with this brother particular things.
Yeah.
Versus if somebody else was doing it, may not necessarily connect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We have people within the body. We have people from every walk of life. There's no walk of life that somebody could come up that we don't have a brother that could relate to him. There's a flavor with every color crayon in the box. What they say? There's a flavor for every demographic of people when it comes to this truth.
Yeah, I got that.
Come.
2 Peter 2:18. Servants, be subject to your masters. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward.
Not only to the good and gentle, those that may not necessarily, get on you in to the sense where it's rough, but even to the forward, ones that just come straight directly at it, it could be a shock to those that could be new, like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like damn, you know what I mean? But it's necessary. It's necessary. Right. But at this time you had servants. At this time too, they actually had physical masters. But even on a spiritual note, like when it comes to the apostles and elders, you have different ways of how particular leaders come out. But it's all necessary for the edification of the body at the end of the day. Okay, let's go back to 1 Corinthians 9. If anybody else in that precept. Okay, we can go back to 1 Corinthians 9 and read verse 21 now.
All right, cut. 1 Corinthians 9 and 21, to them that are without the law, as without the law, being not without the law to the Most High, but under the law to Yahweh Shai, that I might gain them that are without the law.
Right, so he's going to those that are without the law, those that are pretty much outside looking in. So the Apostle Paul knew how to adapt to who he was speaking to. Ultimately, to gain them to Yahweh Shai, he knew how to go, dumb it down if he needed to dumb it down, or really go in on the law if he needed to go into those that were under the law. You know what I'm saying? He knew how to adjust. And this is a very, very good, attribute and teaching lesson, that we read here to learn how we can be whenever we're speaking to individuals. Because a lot of times, we could be stuck in our own mind about how we want things to go, which of course, we have a sermon, you know what I'm saying? We have a sermon, and at the end of the day, the Spirit is going to dictate how the conversation goes, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times we can be stuck in our mind how we want to come out versus, okay, see how this person is receiving it, and then you go down to their level to draw them in. You know what I'm saying? Because the word is like a net. You know what I'm saying? The word, that's what Yahweh said. The word is a net that you cast out, and it's going to draw in all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So with the net, what do you do? The net catches things. So we got to learn how to, through the Spirit, not learn it, not we got to learn, but we catch the listener with how we speak. It's about drawing in where we catch it, but it's the word that's going to catch it. All we got to do is just preach the word, but it's knowing how to preach the word being seasoned. You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes the Spirit does call for the more forward aspect of that too. Sometimes there may be a brother that the Lord put the Spirit on and just come hard in a situation. And that just may be what the Lord wants. Part of the truth is also being subject to that.
Right.
Too, because every situation ain't going to be smooth. But the goal is a smooth situation.
Impossible.
Yes, the goal. That's the goal.
Knowing when to end the conversation and to move on, all that matters.
Right.
That's beautiful, man. Because like, you know, we got the example like also the other Rakai. You know what I'm saying? Like he was, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? But it's necessary. Like, man, it helps. You know, it helps a lot. You know, but it's just it's not taking it and being offended by it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can be offended by how somebody comes at you. Because Jake, you know what I'm saying? When Jake carries roughness now, like when it comes to the roughness of a man talk, you know, they get, oh, you gotta talk to me like that. Or, you know, it's like a culture shock.
Why you yelling?
Why you yelling? It's like, well, men, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, as a man's supposed to be direct. You know what I mean? They take it as a culture shock. Oh shit. You know, but it's why you talking to me that way? You don't gotta be that. You don't gotta yell at me.
Feminine spirit.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but we're about to get a lot of listeners. We're about to get, you know, we're about to get people about to start coming up because people watching. People watching, and you know, some, you know, may be on the fence, but they gonna come and ask what they want to understand about who we are and what we teach. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I got a precept for you. It's Proverbs 16:7, and this is in the GNT. It says this: when you please the Lord, you can make your enemies into friends. So when you're naturally upon our walk, as you start to apply the scriptures to your life, you start to have discernment on dealing with particular people. You figure out how to maneuver in certain keywords that you might use with this person that you wouldn't use with that person to get them to actually listen. Because people come up, man, they're naturally on the defensive because of the masculine approach that we have. We're men, we speak like men. So to the world, especially people coming up now, it's like, what the fuck is they on? Right? So there's a way that you can deal with people to where they actually, hold up, he's actually making sense. Let me listen. There's a way that you can deal with people to where, you know, okay, you're explaining the scriptures and you're going through it to where they actually open up and they're ready to receive it. All right. So that's just the attribute that kind of you gain as you operate in righteousness and you genuinely apply the Lord's instruction to your life. You know what I mean?
Using guile.
Yeah.
You know, subtlety. I got a precept too. And I'm going to read it in the NLT too. This is 1 Corinthians 10:33. It says,
I think I had that.
You already had this one?
But no, you
I kind of figured you did.
you can bring it out.
The next chapter.
You can start. Yeah. Verse 33.
1 Corinthians 10 and verse 33. It says, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many that they may be saved. Because that's the whole objective, is to, you know, convert the souls that could be part of the Most High's elect to come into the faith. You know, meeting them in whatever capacity that they'll be fully persuaded in their own mind. You know,
Right. Yeah, if you make it about you and your show, then
right.
You know, if it's on your perspective and you locked in on your shit,
It's not gonna come across.
Yep. That's what you know when you read Acts 5. That's what it said. It says if this work be of men, it's gonna come to naught.
Right.
You know, and you got a lot of examples of that out there. You know, they make the truth about them.
I'm gonna do it the way I'm gonna do it. They get it. Which to some degree, I can see that too. But you got to know what you're dealing with. You know.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You can't take that mentality into every situation.
Right.
If the situation call for it, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, you can't
What are
just,
they here for?
you can't just set it on automatic to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's good to talk about convincing the gangster.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you know how there's ways that you can do that. You know what I'm saying? Versus not having just a straight gun hole one way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? You got it.
But this is in the NLT. 1 Corinthians 10:33. It says, I too try to please everyone in everything I do. I don't just do what is best for me. I do what is best for others so that many may be saved. So it's all about the will of the Heavenly Father and the elect being sealed at the end of the day, man. Not trying to do your own agenda. This is just me. This is just the way I'm coming. Because, you know, we had guys say that in the past. That's just my spirit. I'm the type of dude, you know.
The LL Cool J, I'm the type of guy.
Everybody, man. Like, you can't see the other side of that. But like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Yahweh Shah did that, man. You gotta be, you gotta learn to be selfless in this thing. You know, like whereas we take ourselves out, we gotta take ourselves out the equation. You know what I'm saying, and allow Yahweh Bashim Shah, the Spirit of the Lord, to flow through us, to let the Word do the work. You know what I'm saying? But when you make it about yourself, and you make it about how you know what I'm saying, your way of doing it,
Yeah,
it kind of takes away it takes away the power of the word at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because you're making it about you. You know.
You pulling your Howard Shaw's punches when you do
exactly.
that. Are we still in Acts 6:16?
We were, but
did we read down to verse 5? Because if you read down to verse 4 and 5, it shows you that applying this attribute works. It's not just something. Yeah, it's Acts 16.
I had one verse. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to back up what y'all both are saying. This is 2 Thessalonians 3:1. It says, "Finally, brethren, pray for us that the word of the Lord may have free course and be glorified, even as it is with you." So you have to allow the word to have free course, meaning you're not trying to glorify yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Because you can quench the spirit at times.
Right.
You know, and that's one thing. The word, not necessarily word, but I don't use that word. But you don't want to quench the spirit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let the word have free course to do what the word is made to do. The word is the power. That's right. The power is in the word of Yahweh Shai. You know, it's not in us. We're just vessels that the word is in, and the word is gonna do the rest. Our job is just to get it out there. But how the word gets out there is the key too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you got
this Acts 16, we read through 3, so I'll just read verse 4. And as they went through the cities, they delivered them decrees for to keep that were ordained of the apostles and elders which were at Jerusalem. And so were the churches established in the faith and increased in number daily. So because Timothy went in, he was circumcised and it was packaged the right way, many souls were gained.
That's it.
Right. So it works. We're not just out here just going into this lesson for just, shits and giggles. You have to have this attribute in order to, fulfill the mission. This is something that's necessary to us get into our endpoint.
And Paul, the Apostle Paul didn't have to do that. He didn't have to have Timothy be circumcised, but he knew the area, and he knew where he was at. He knew where he was going, and he knew where he was going, and he knew who he was about to get ready to talk to. And preach Yahweh. I was like, oh snap! With Timothy, we know his father was a Greek, but then he got circumcised. Oh shit!
He was going to send him to Ephesus.
Yep.
Basically, Timothy went to Ephesus. Paul sent him there, and he was preparing him like, it's going to be a lot of BS. You kill him on these things.
And that other account where Paul, what was it? They told him he had to put up a sacrifice.
Yes, like Acts 20.
They rolled up, circumcision rolled on him.
He had to do that to be able to gain. You know what I'm saying? That was another situation.
Yeah, they said, well, you speaking against the law, prove you still follow the law by offering up a sacrifice. Yeah. And Paul did it. They was rolled on it though.
Yeah,
like to whoop his ass.
Man, also Paul, man,
he went through it, man.
He went through it.
Man, he went through it. The spirit, man. Howard Shai was dealing with the Apostle Paul at a high level.
I believe those were believing Jews that was like James and them that made him do that, I believe.
I think really?
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
Hey, that's a big deal.
Y'all want to find him?
Yeah, man. I think it's Acts 20.
He did whatever was necessary. He was put in those sticky situations. He was put in those sticky situations. That was all one lifetime. You know what I'm saying? That when you read about that, like when you go through it chapter for chapter from the time Paul, in chapter 9, from the time you get to him and they go through.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the end, you like, he went through all those different things just so you can understand how to deal in these situations. No matter what situation you in, you gotta be in the spirit.
Yeah.
Like we say, when you're on the highway, somebody cut you off. Obviously, he left the crib too late. Let him have it.
Yeah.
Right.
You can put it in line at the store. At work.
Yeah.
Amongst your co-workers, you can utilize all these attributes at all times. There's never a situation where being in the spirit will work against you. You know what I'm saying? And finding opportunities to tap into that, you can see it now. You can see it now. You know what I'm saying? That person who you paid to give your gas money to, I guarantee you they'll remember you when they get to the crib. That light just shined off of you. Those little conversations you have throughout the day with them, they hold on to that shit. You'll never remember having that conversation at all. But that light that shined on them for that moment came from y'all Bashim y'all shot through you.
Yeah.
And they saw it. And they hold on to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So like when you have those situations to where your enemy is at peace with you, or being the way to kiss a police officer on the neck, you know what I'm saying, to where he'll destroy you, he end up letting you go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All those type of things. You see countless accounts of our forefathers maneuvering through society with this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Playing chess.
You see, and we get and it's right at our fingertips every day.
Yeah.
You know, so for the brother to be wanting to go into this at this refreshed time that we about to go into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It makes sense to be able to know how to conduct yourself amongst the matrix, you know?
In the time of acts.
Yeah.
Actions.
Yeah.
You know? Many are being added to the body. So our actions are going to have to be elevated too as the Most High is bringing more believers into this thing.
We gotta think 2-3 steps ahead. Cap, he was talking to the guy on the other side, Iskarite, that was asking questions yesterday. And you know that Edomite that came up, he said, "Man, if I was in my old ways," the Iskarite said, "If I was in my old ways, I would have knocked his ass out." But what did Cap say? He said, "Yeah, but you knock him out. What? You're not gonna get a reward. Nobody gonna interview you. You're not getting paid." He was like, "Yeah. At the end of the day, what is that? You in that moment making that decision? What is it? How's it gonna benefit in the long run?" So us, we really got to be on that mind frame at a high level.
Yeah.
You know. And he also said, my bad. He also said that he asked, you can speak on Cap. He asked, went up to one body and tried to speak to them.
He said they were saying some
outlandish shit.
Coming all rough at them, you know.
Yeah.
Just,
Were they using this attribute that we're speaking about today?
Of course not.
No. And clearly the dude believed, but they shoot him off because they didn't know how to act. They didn't know how to use the guys. You see?
Yeah. Where your fringes at?
Yeah.
You got where your fringes? You need to wear fringes. I'm like, what the hell? What is a fringe? Like, what are you talking about?
Why would you do that to somebody's first time questioning?
The Northern Kingdom.
Niggas.
You don't beat them over the head with the law like that. Right. You gotta learn how to use.
Where your beard at?
Yeah.
Brother can't even grow a beard.
Yeah, man. So that's a prime example. You know, he went to one body and was like, he turned off because he already know how they come. How they coming, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Instead of hitting somebody over the head with the law, man, just come over their house with some food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, come over their house with some food, some lawful food. You know what I'm saying? And when they be like, "Man, what's this?" You know what I'm saying? Oh man, that's a little lamb. You know, a little something. You explain it. You know what I'm saying? And then you get gain them with DAL.
Yep.
But yeah, nigga, you eating swine and kick him in the stomach and shit. You know, throw it all up. Nah, man, that's what I'm saying. You know how Jake is.
You know, certain laws you mention.
Yeah.
You know, but
let it be a part of your conversation. You know what I'm saying? Instead of a part of your.
You need to know why he need to repent.
Right. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
the key.
Yeah. Before understanding you're an Israelite, we pissed the Most High off. You know, we in this situation due to this, boom, boom. This is why we need to repent. The stuff we've been doing, you know, it's working against us, it's against the Lord. We didn't even know. Shit, the case in point, boom. You know, lobster used to be prison food.
Yep.
You know, now it's a delicacy. The Bible say don't eat it.
Samples.
Right.
You don't give some. Eat this 5-course meal. Give them a sample. Hey, think about this. You think about that?
That ain't gonna happen on the highways and the byways. You know what I'm saying? That's more of a conversation that you're gonna have with a brother that been coming out, you've been seeing them. You know what I'm saying? You get to pick their brain and out. But that microwave mentality, so many people don't realize that the truth, everything that they ever been wondering and wanting to know and all that was right at their fingertips. They acted like a nigga at the last second, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I said, being able to deal with whoever come up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I will say, knowing that Israel was scattered amongst everybody. You're gonna have to go through everybody to get to bring those in. You see, that's why the ministry is set up the way it's set up. You know.
Yeah, we want to get that at Acts.
Yep. Oh, you got it. I got it.
I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, Acts 21 and what were you gonna start? 27.
26.
26. Okay. Paul arrested. Acts 21 and 26. Then Paul took the men, and the next day purifying himself with them, entered into the temple to signify the accomplishment of the days of purification, until that an offering should be offered for every one of them. Verse 27. And when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews, which were of Asia, when they saw, so it wasn't them, it said, the Jews which were of Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him, crying out, Men of Israel, help! This is the man that teacheth all men everywhere against the people and the law in this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple and have polluted this holy place.
Oh, man, it was like, man, this is the guy, man. They brought the heathen into the temple.
Right.
You know, and I want to say that word Greeks there. I'll just pull it real fast for you. This word Greeks here, in verse 28.
That's proof that they were talking about Israelite
Foreigners.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You say it all the time. That they hardcore to the law, but they gonna bring heathen in? Nah, it don't make no sense.
Well, they're going to want heathen to have to come up under the law. They understood that that first covenant was only for Israel.
Yeah.
Why would they be so pissed off about actual heathen keeping it on? It's Israelites.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yep, that word Greeks is Helen. So it's those who are following after customs, originally after the customs of the Greeks,
Right.
the language, the ways of life that were converted to, believing in Yahweh.
Can I back you up with a quick precept just for the listeners? John 7 and 35 in the NLT is in the New Testament, and the Jewish, quote, I'm doing air quotes, leaders were puzzled by this statement. Where was he planning to go? Talking about Yahweh. They asked, is he thinking of leaving the country and going to the Jews in other lands because we were scattered?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's it.
Cut.
Bring it out.
It says, it hath polluted the holy place. Verse 29. For he hath seen before him, for they had seen before with him in the city Trophimus, an Ephesian, whom they supposed that Paul had brought into the temple. So they saw Paul with a Jake, It was like, this nigga, he brought this nigga into the temple. This nigga lost his mind. Yeah.
So super Greek ass name.
Trophy. What that mean? Yeah. Trophy. It gotta be like a triumph or something, right? Like trophy. Nutritious.
Wow.
Trophimos. Nutritious.
That's even food.
There you go.
Nutritious. That's
Interesting. So it says, and all the city was moved, and the people ran together, and they took Paul and drew him out of the temple, and forthwith the doors were shut. And as they went about to kill him, tidings came unto the chief captain of the band that all Jerusalem was up in an uproar, who immediately took soldiers and centurions and ran down unto them. And when they saw the chief captain and the soldiers, they left beating Paul. Beating him up, man. Then the chief captain came near and took him and commanded him to be bound with 2 chains, and demanded who he was and what he had done. And some cried one thing and some another among the multitude.
saying shit.
He did this, and when he could not know the certainty of the tumult, he commanded him to be carried into the castle. He was like, "B, what the fuck is going on? Take him over here, man." He was just screaming, accusing him. He's like, "What the hell is going on?" And when he came up on the stairs, So it was that he was born of the soldiers for the violence of the people. They had to protect him.
Yeah. They had to carry him up. They had to carry him up the stairs. He didn't walk.
Right. But reading it in NLT, it says, and the crowd followed behind him, shouting, kill him, kill him.
Man, shit.
His ass.
Goodness gracious.
Is this what they were gonna? Is this what they made him offer a sacrifice?
I know this when he went to Jerusalem and he got pretty much under custody.
I don't think so. In this account.
But I mean, you know, the point was made.
Kind of.
The point was made.
He could have got killed. Just
He could have got
Yeah.
killed. He could have got killed.
Man, his walk was way more action packed than a sitcom.
Yeah, man. I can just see that in my
Yeah,
head.
like it's like damn, he was
Yeah.
going through something all the time. It seemed.
Mhm.
I said, yeah, because what the book of Acts, that's like what, almost 30 years? That's almost like a 30-year span. You know what I'm saying?
12 seasons is just bullshit.
You know what I'm saying? He did a lot. He did a lot in that time. You know, when you think about from the time Yahushua left and the apostles took over, that was a nice little old minute. You know what I'm saying? In history, you can't take that history away. That happened. So now it's happening again. When you think about it, I would say when you think about it from the time High Priest Abba Bivens, from him to now, that's a nice little old chunk of history right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we came in at the time that we came in to fulfill our lots, but like the brother going into, we've been taught how to deal amongst each other before we was unleashed on the world. You know, so when the world see us, they can see
Like,
how Yahushua told us how to act.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How he told us how to be. You know what I'm saying? When you bring full circle, going back from all the precepts that came out, getting back to the brother's point.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna start up real quick in the same chapter. I think this is the point we was talking about. Starting at verse 18, because that's when it mentions James.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'll read it for you. Acts 21:18, it says, in the day following, Paul went in with us unto James, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he declared particularly what things the Most High had wrought among the Gentiles by his ministry. And when they heard it, they glorified the Lord and said unto him, thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews there are which believe, and they are all zealous of the law. And that proves that not every single Jew at this time was rejected the Lord, because he had thousands that believed. It says, and they are informed of thee, that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after their customs. What is it therefore? Pretty much like, what is it, right? The multitude must needs come together, for they will hear that thou art come. Do therefore this that we say to thee. We have 4 men which have a vow on them. Take them and purify thyself with them. So this is what James is saying. This is what you're saying.
Right. Because basically,
yeah,
there were when I believe these men were coming out of the Nazarite vow, and I believe there was a sacrifice associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, look, this is what we need you to do.
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 men that's gonna get purified later. You do the sacrifice.
Do it with them.
Do it with them.
Yeah.
With them so they can see.
Yeah. Man, that's heavy.
And what that did was open the door to where he could gain more.
Yeah.
To, you know what I'm saying? And he was constantly put in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things will happen to him just so other people can see the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the message that he was teaching went right along with it as this little package deal. Because like Elder Yashua always said, it's gonna draw you in. You know what I'm saying? It ain't one of those things. It ain't one of those things where everybody's gonna want to see it or everybody's gonna love it. It's just what you see is for you, for your particular. You know what I'm saying? Coming into this thing, everybody got their own story of what it was that sealed the deal for you. You know, and things will happen to Paul just so people can see.
Yeah.
Just like things will happen to us. You know what I'm saying? Being able to heal people through the Spirit and all these different actions and feats that happened in the scriptures, they all happened just so the Lord's power can be shown to convert somebody. You know, even what miracles. when you look up the word miracles, it goes into how the Lord uses a man to do certain things to show his power. You know, and it started with conversation.
Yep. That's right. Verse 24, I'll read this real quick, and then we can go back. It says, take them and purify thyself with them, and be at charges with them. Meaning being at charges pretty much means to pay their, you know, the Apostle Paul was to pay their expenses for the sacrifice, for the sacrifice. And be at charges with them, and they may shave their heads. And all may know that those things whereof they were informed concerning thee, nothing, but that thou thyself also walkest orderly and keepest the law. So that's what they were like, man, look, you know, just so that, like you said, just so they know, do the sacrifice with them so that they know that you're not telling them to break the law. Because if he was telling them to break the law, he wouldn't have did it. You know what I'm saying? That was the whole argument, was the fact that you teaching them, they saying that you teaching them to not keep the law. So keep the law. Show it openly. We know you keep the law, but show it openly to them. You know what I'm saying? That's actually a beautiful example. I didn't think about this earlier when I was writing those precepts out.
But see, it was James in there.
Yeah,
It was,
circumcision. Like,
it was like, look, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in Jerusalem, man, Jerusalem was the followers of Yahushua in Jerusalem. That was like the last place you wanted to be.
Yeah, they were hardcore.
You know, that was the last place you wanted to be. That's why when the Apostle Paul, when he told his the followers that he was going to Jerusalem, it was like, man, no, like you going to Jerusalem, bro? I don't think that's a good idea. You know, but he was pretty much talking about this is what the Lord wants me to do. You know what I'm saying? Say again?
I said he'll kill you.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
That's what happened. We read it. When we read down, shit, that was the first thing that happened. They took him into custody.
Yep. Let's go to let's get Galatians 2 real quick. You can just read verses 1 to 3 in Galatians 2. Because he said unto those without the law I became as one without the law. Right?
What verse?
Start at verse 1 and read out of verse 2.
Galatians 2:1.
And this is also too, starting in Galatians 2, this is also the Jerusalem Council that you read in Acts 15. It's just another, not necessarily version, but another perspective of it.
Right, just condensed. Yeah. Galatians 2 and from the top. Then 14 years after, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also.
I was talking about Titus. You know, after 14 years after he received the revelation from Yahushua, it took him 14 years for him to actually go back to Jerusalem. You know, go ahead.
Verse 2. And I went up by revelation and communicated unto them that gospel which I preach among the Gentiles, but privately to them which were of reputation, lest by any means I should run or have run in vain.
Right. So it said by revelation, he communicated pretty much to the heads, Peter, James, and John, you know, them in Jerusalem, the message that he received from Yahushua. He said he came privately to them with a reputation, at least by any means I should run or have run in vain, pretty much to make sure that everything was in alignment. You know, like, okay, the message that I'm preaching, this is what was revealed unto me.
Right.
I wanted to bring it by y'all to make sure that this is all in one accordance.
Right.
You know, as a matter of fact, you got an NLT right there?
I actually was looking at an NLT.
What does it say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking
They'll be like Elder Yashawama, if he found something new in the scriptures, a new breakdown or a twist or whatever, he would probably go to call Apostle Ramlab or one of the heads and discuss it with them. You know, should I bring this out before just getting on camera and making a video?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, that's happened a bunch of times.
Yeah, in the NLT, Galatians 2:2, it says, I went there because the Most High revealed to me that I should go. While I was there, I met privately with those considered to be the leaders of the church and shared with them the message I had been preaching to the Gentiles. I wanted to make sure that we were in agreement, for fear that all my efforts had been wasted and I was running the race for nothing.
Man, so he went up there after, even though it was revealed to him by Yahushua, he still went to the heads of the church to make sure that the message he was speaking was in agreement and that he just wasn't bullshit.
That's him being in order too.
That's being in order.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you got a lot of Jake that don't like to be in order.
And also to add to your point, they don't trust that the men that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua set up. Well, they don't trust that the Lord set up other men or something. They
The
don't
Lord
trust-
revealed it to me.
Yeah, like they're just the only God that the Spirit is dealing with, and there's no structure on earth. So that shows that humility that Paul had.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. He said 14 years he went back up to Jerusalem, right? And when you read Acts 9, that's when you read about the Apostle Paul's conversion. And then Acts 10, it goes into Cornelius, which was revealed unto Peter. Now, it doesn't tell you how long of time that was from that time, from, Acts 9 and chapter 9, chapter 10. But we know that the message was revealed unto Peter first. So it was all through the revelation at the same time. Like it all coincided regardless at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And it was revealed. And Yahweh Shai said, he said it. He said, Yahweh Shai revealed it unto me to go up there. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that what I've been preaching out here doing my thing, because he said he conferred not with flesh and blood. He was already preaching. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that, everything was in alignment. Everything was in agreement, which goes back to the same doctrine being taught. Oh, you gonna teach this, we can teach that, we all come together. Apostle Paul didn't do that. He wanted to make sure everything was in alignment, You can read verse 3.
Kind of Galatians 2, verse 3. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised.
Boom. So now Titus, with him being a Greek, that's the same word, Helen, there, right? It says he wasn't compelled to be circumcised when he went up to Jerusalem with the Apostle Paul.
That's risky.
Yeah. But that goes into what? The Jerusalem Council is like, man, look, just tell them not to eat anything strangled. You know what I'm saying? To abstain from fornication. But
They reported that too. Like, hey, I'm gonna have to bring Titus, da 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 da.
Yeah. And he wasn't the heads of the church wasn't compelling him to get circumcised.
Right.
Because of
And that action brought more into the ministry.
Yep.
So
That's a good point, man.
it's a case by case situation. You just gotta be in the spirit on each. Y'all said you gotta be in the spirit no matter who you're dealing with. Because at the end of the day, you realize that it's Yahweh Shai sheep that you're dealing with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So being able to have those conversations, whether they be gentle or forward, you're dealing with all of them. And sometimes you're gonna need to call somebody else and be like to seek counsel and all these different things. Some things you're gonna be able to have them on your own. Some things you're gonna have to make that call. But being able to judge those situations, all those are judgments. Each decision you make is a judgment. You know what I'm saying? You want to hit more than you miss. You want to hit more than you miss when you're walking through the spirit. So,
yeah, man. Just knowing all, knowing the right judgment calls, man. In the spirit. That's it on Galatians 2. Speaking of jump back to 1 Corinthians 9, verse 22.
Okay,
There's got a few more.
back in 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 22, it says, "To the weak I became as weak, that I might gain the weak, and I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some."
Right. So he pretty much, to the weak he became weak, to the strong he became strong. It says, I am made all things to all men. I become all things to all men, so that I might by all means save some. You know what I'm saying? So he took himself out the equation, because remember, the Apostle Paul was a master in the law. Like, he knew, come on, he was a Pharisee of the Pharisees. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, he could have came with straight out the, you know what I'm saying, straight out the law, and it could have went completely over people's heads. You see? So he knew how to adapt to particular scenarios and situations, who he was talking to gain them to Yahweh Shai. Like we were saying earlier, letting our speech be seasoned with salt. Convincing against. So
just trying to find a common
Find-
ground.
Man,
When you read it in the NLT, that's what he said.
Oh,
You
same
can't
verse?
speak Greek when people, like we speak in Greek, but here they can speak English. No, we got to come down to that level.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be relatable.
Yeah, right.
You got an NLT, Elder?
Yeah, it says 1 Corinthians 9 and 22. When I am with those who are weak, I share their weakness, for I want to bring the weak to Hamashiach. Yes, I try to find common ground with everyone, doing everything I can to save some.
Wow. Establishing
That's
common ground. And that takes time. That takes experience, man. Like when you see the apostles and elders deal, man, you see that in live and direct and act like real time, man. You see that like with men of experience, how they talk and how they like the apostles begin with apostles calling down how they communicate. Like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like how they know how to maneuver through conversations with particular people. Yeah, it's a prime example.
Apostle Tahar, man.
He's excellent.
Oh my goodness.
Real. Like,
somebody could be walking by, he'll pick out anything to bring up the top. It'll be something on their shirt. And he'll say, so what you know, like, did you know? And he'll just go, you know what I mean? He just goes into, and he makes it relatable to a place to where they can actually comprehend what the fullness of what we're trying to get across. Mm-hmm. He'll slip it in and give them little samples of, hey, this is what this is about.
Establish that common ground.
Consider.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see somebody walking up with a basketball in their hand or whatever the case may be. With like that one Jake with the basketball outfit only, like Elder Ariala did a beautiful example of that, like the couple of 2 weekends ago. How he established common ground with that guy. You know what I'm saying? You play basketball, you can mention sports or whatever. Yeah. When you read down the Apostle Paul started mentioning the Olympics.
Yeah.
Boxing. You're like run the race and boxing, because you got to think the Isthmus games going on back then. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of Jakes that in a Gentile state of mind going to the Olympics. So he used the Olympics as a means of going down to their level to mention the truth with it, like a race.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was relatable. That's the spirit. How he mentioned that right afterwards, like not all that run a race with the prize on the one. You know what I'm saying? Mm. That was very big at that time with the Isthmus games, like the Olympics at the time. Romans 14:1. I actually read. This is Romans chapter 14, verse 1. It says, "Him that is weak in the faith receive ye, but not to doubtful disputations." So somebody that may not necessarily be as strong in the faith as you are, but they believe, you have to go down to that level to receive them. But it says not to doubtful disputations, because that person may come with an opinion and it may not necessarily be correct, and you got to correct them with it. But there's a way about going about it. As a matter of fact, anybody can you put it up in the NLT?
Yeah. Which verse again?
14:1. Romans 14:1.
Yeah, this is in the NLT. It says, "Accept other believers who are weak in faith, and don't argue with them about what they think is right or wrong."
Right, and does that mean that they come up spewing some madness, you just agree? No, that doesn't mean that. You know what I'm saying? Of course, if they come up talking about some BS, but they're on a level that they don't know, there's a way that you can go about it to correct them, and there's a right way to go about correcting it. You know what I'm saying? In the sense not where it's not an argument back and forth.
Yeah.
That's unprofitable anyway, arguing with somebody that you already recognize that they don't know something. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be counterproductive,
Yeah, like somebody come up, like somebody coming up listening and inquiring, and you mentioned that hell ain't real, which we know that is not. You know what I'm saying? But according to their life, they've already known and believe that hell is a place where you burn forever. They're like, what do you mean hell ain't real? They trying to convince you, and they try to go, well, what about this scripture? Yeah. And you bring the scripture out, and you break it down, and then you give an example. Yep.
Because it's according to doctrine.
Exactly.
That's the main thing. You're correcting them according to the doctrine. Mm-hmm. That's where people get it twisted. They think that when we come with more scriptural, that we coming off the dome, or we coming off. No. This is what the Bible is talking about.
Yeah.
You see, so when you correct somebody, you correcting them according to that. And you find ways to show them in the scriptures.
Yep.
But we already know where to find it. It's just about whether or not the Spirit allow us to present it before they either take it or not.
Right. Yeah. Someone talk about that, you're like, man, no, I ain't no man, you dumbass nigga. You dumbass nigga.
How you don't know that?
How you don't know that, man? You dumbass nigga.
Yeah, that'll leave it more confusing.
Like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? But there ain't no edification coming from that at all. Now it's just turned into a shouting contest, and it's no edification in that. You know what I'm saying? How the hell you didn't know that? Dumbass. Man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, well, you don't know. Yeah. If you don't know, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know, but that doesn't mean that you know, there's a way to go about it. I just put it like that. Right. You got something, Monty? Go ahead.
This is Philippians 1, verse 10. We'll start at verse 9. It says, "And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in the knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere without offense to the day of Mashiach. And going to, and like I said, that's we're supposed to be excellent on proving and showing things, you know, that if we're talking to someone like on highways and byways, we want to prove certain things, but we want to be sincere about it, you know, not giving too much offense. Because if you just offending someone as soon as they walk by, they don't want to hear it. You're just gonna, you know, maybe I don't, you know, this and that, and make them just turn away and walk away. You know? So you want to be sincere about it.
Yeah, like you know, you got somebody walking up to the camp, and it's a be like let's say it's like a little girl or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or it'd be a man, you know, like a little girl, maybe like a very young girl. He over here, man, you know, man, these bitches out here, you know what I'm saying? It's like, man, none of you women shit. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, you know, you gotta pick and choose the words that you know, how you speak. Now, of course, granted, at times the moment and the spirit can have it to where it can be heated, where particular words may come out. Of course, for men. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a witness. I remember, you know, at times, you know, Elder Yashawamba, Elder Ariel, Elder Yatazak, I may be speaking, and somebody may be like a child or somebody coming up and hey, brother, you know, hey, don't, you know what I'm saying? You know, you don't gotta go, you know what I mean? That happened to me. I'm an example. You know what I'm saying? Shit, that happened to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just knowing how to go down to that common ground. You know what I'm saying with somebody. 1 Corinthians 8:9. It says, but take heed, lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. So we got liberty in Yahushua. You know what I'm saying? But our liberty that we do have, you know, it can become a stumbling block to those that may not be as strong in the faith as you are, with particular things that you may do. Like, for example, when you read this chapter, it's talking about eating food, sacrifice to idols, and things of that nature. You know, somebody that's weak in the faith, see that, be like, what the hell? Like, huh? You know what I'm saying? So it's just knowing how to do things around particular individuals. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all that I had, honestly. Did anybody else have any other precepts or anything? Okay. So with that, you know, Lord's word, this lesson was edifying. We want to give all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that still teaching this truth. And always much peace, love, and salutation to the elect of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Shalom.
Shalom.